Hi, Leo. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for January of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Right now, let's take a look at January for you, Leo. As the month begins, we find two asteroid goddesses doing some interesting stuff. One of them is Juno right here. The other one is Ceres right there. So let's get into this. Juno begins the month in Pisces, but she's been there for so long, since July really, that I don't have a lot new to say about her passage through Pisces, but I can tell you that mid-month, Juno moves on into a new sign, and that's Aries. Juno is, of course, the asteroid goddess to do with relationships, commitment, and that encompasses business relationships as well. She's quite the social maven and very much the networker. So wherever she goes, she brings that social sensibility, and it can signal a new, turning a new leaf for your relationship if you are in one. Juno moving into the 9th house, which is a house of growth and expansion, of freedom, and also travel, can be an excellent time for doing some traveling with your partner, for thinking about how there can be more freedom and growth and expansion in the partnership itself, and also for supporting your partner in higher education if they are doing that. It's a really great time for learning and expanding of any kind within your partnership and supporting your partnership on learning and expanding. Those things really go together. Then we have Ceres, which is in the sign of Libra, traveling along through your 3rd house at the beginning of the month. And she's going to be here all month and for quite a few months to come, because Ceres is about to turn retrograde. Now, Ceres is an asteroid goddess to do with the things that connect us to the physical world, our physical bodies, the food we put into them, and the money we make to sustain them. Now, in the 3rd house, though, Ceres is not that comfortable. She has a tendency to fuss, worry, and overthink these things. So while Ceres is in the 3rd house, she might have you making plans for that new diet that you need to do, but it might be hard to actually implement those plans. You might find that you're quite distractible and that you worry about your body, your health, and your eating and your finances maybe more than you take action on them. This is a really good time to get ahead of the curve, actually, because when Ceres goes retrograde, those worries may deepen and intensify. So now is a really good time to think clearly about getting your finances shipshape, deciding how you want to be eating going forward, and forming a really good relationship with your physical self that's concrete and not abstract. And we will be saying more about Ceres retrograde as the months go on, after she turns retrograde early next month. Hey, Julia, what's the news of Venus, Mercury, and Mars for the Leos of the world?
A lot of good news to tell you, Leo. I'll first start with Venus. She is the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, and she's moving quickly. So she's going through 3 different houses this month, but she's only spending January 1st in your 6th house. She was mainly there in December. So the 6th house is a work house. It's a house of organization. It's a house of routine. So during this holiday season, you may have found, especially if there's been crunchiness in your family, some refuge at your workplace. Venus in the 6th is a great time for getting along well with the people you work with, as well as just really taking pleasure from your job. It's also a wonderful time for getting your routines in order. Maybe you got a jump start on your New Year's resolution to get a bit more organized or to set up a better physical routine for yourself and your health. Now, on January 2nd, Venus enters your 7th house, and she's going to be there for most of January. And this is a wonderful transit for your relationship. So if you're currently in a relationship, it's a time of finding more harmony, enjoyment with your partner. And if you're single, it's a very good time for meeting new people. Now, the 7th house also represents contractors. So if you do need to hire anybody for advice this year, maybe you're thinking, oh, I need to see a therapist, or, oh, I need to talk to a doctor about something. January is a good month for doing it. Then on January 26th, Venus enters your 8th house. This is a house of other people's money. It's also a house that represents represents physical intimacy, like your sexuality. So with Venus in the 8th house for the end of the month, you could get a little bit of financial luck, but mainly coming from other people or from institutions in your life. Maybe this is a good time to apply for a credit card, or maybe your partner gets a raise and shares it with you. Now, since this is also a very intimate house, you could be enjoying just kind of a little sexual renaissance with your partner as well too. Then Mercury, the planet of communication, it also represents your mind, starts the month retrograde in your 6th house. Again, the 6th house is a work house. It's also a house of routine. And, Mercury retrogrades are times of reviewing and rethinking things in our lives. So Mercury retrograde in the 6th for a good part of this month means that there might be some miscommunications at your workplace, maybe with your clients, maybe with your boss, maybe with your customers. So make sure to be a little patient so you can go back and review and clear up any miscommunications that come along the way. And since the 6th house is our routines, you might have to restart a new routine a few times. Maybe if you're thinking, oh, I want to, change this about my diet or go and do this type of workout, you might find yourself going back over that again. Now, on January 7th, Mercury exactly conjoins the sun. We call it Lesser Epiphany Day because Mercury is retrograde while doing this. And a little bit later on, Mercury is going to be direct while conjoining the sun, and that's Greater Epiphany Day. So I just wanted to clear up the differences between the two. But in any event, an Epiphany Day is a time of insights and revelations. And since this is happening in your 6th house, you might have some clarity about your workplace in some way. Maybe you get an insight into miscommunications you've been having. Since the 6th house represents your workplace and Mercury is also a technological planet, maybe this Mercury retrograde cycle, you've had some computer problems that you finally fix up around this time period. Then by January 18th, Mercury goes direct. And by the end of the month, Mercury will be back up to its full speed while direct in the sky. And, these miscommunications, this time of reviewing and confusion will finally come to an end. So that's very nice. And then the other planet that's going direct this month is Mars. Mars represents action and activity, and he's been retrograde for a few months now. And Mars retrograde cycles tend to be a bit more intense. They tend to happen less frequently every 2 years and for longer than a Mercury retrograde. So Mars has been retrograde in your 11th house. This is a house of friendship. It represents any groups you're a part of as well as your long-term goals. So since Mars is a planet of action, Mars retrograde is a time of having to redo things in your life. And in your 11th house, that might be some approach you've taken towards achieving some goal of yours, some wish, some desire. And since the 11th house represents groups you're a part of, like unions, societies, clubs, gamer circles, teams, you may have run into some frustrations and flare-ups with those types of people, as well as friends too. Then by January 12th, Mars finally goes direct, and it's going to slowly catch up to full speed in the sky. And we'll all be a lot less frustrated and irritable when that happens. So, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yep. So much more ease going to come at that point. Well, I got a couple of moons to talk about and a seasonal shift, starting on January 6th with the first moon of the month, which is a full moon right here in Cancer in the 12th house, opposite the sun with Mercury here in the 6th house. And this particular moon we've been calling hard work and deep care. The hard work part is Mercury in Capricorn being very logical and rigorous and tough and, putting in the effort here, especially in the 6th house of work, and the sun contributing to that very much. But the moon over here in Cancer with Pallas Athena, goddess of wisdom, in the 12th house, so much more watery, so much more intuitive, so much more emotional, and also introverted. So there's a sort of a battle or a balancing act, depending on how you want to look at it, between these two elements. And then there's Chiron right here in Aries, squaring off between the two of them and bringing up perhaps some old wounds to the surface. And those wounds might have to do with things that you believe, beliefs that you hold, or ethics that you hold. And this might cause some upset for you, especially, kind of deep in your heart where your spiritual life lives. And that can ricochet into your work life as well. So this one is one with a bit of a watch out that comes with it. And if you're noticing Chiron transiting along your 9th house, this would be the sort of moon where that would really come up. Chiron being the wounded healer, and traveling along through your 9th house for about 7 years, it's really right about in the middle of that. And so it's possible that you've been having some stuff coming up, some wounding coming to the surface regarding your beliefs over the last several years. And this moon is kind of acting as a trigger for that. Uranus is helping and supporting this moon here in your 10th house, where Uranus also is engaged in a 7 years journey in which it's about in the middle, and bringing innovation and change and some disruption along with it to your career and potentially your reputation. So when things break down, it's an opportunity for breaking through to something new, an entirely new world. And Uranus has been offering you opportunities for that in your career over the last several years, and is continuing to offer you those opportunities as Uranus finishes out this house. And during this moon, Uranus is both providing support to the Sun-Moon opposition and diffusing some of the tension there, but also receiving support. And so that could have some pretty great results in your career arena. So the next thing I want to talk about is that the sun is going to change signs right around the 20th, right here. It leaves Capricorn, where it spent the beginning of the month, moves on into Aquarius, as the sun does every month near the 20th or 21st of the month. And wherever the sun goes, we want to shine the sunlight of our high quality attention, because things can flourish and grow there. The 7th house being the domain of partnerships of all kinds, including close friendships, as well as a spouse or potentially a business partner. The sun coming here basically signals that it's time to put some sunny nourishment, some vitamin D, if you will, into your partnerships of all kinds. And so taking the lead to negotiate things in a better way with your partner, in a way that's more fair, more balanced, taking the lead to put attention on your partner so that they feel noticed and seen in the partnership. These are really great ways to spend the 30 days that the sun will be traveling along through your 7th house. And then the last moon that I want to tell you about comes the very next day, when the moon enters into Aquarius and joins the sun here in your 7th house. This one we're calling Nurture the Tribe. And that's because it is in Aquarius, and Aquarius is the sign of community and friendship and tribe and social life in general. So I think this is a moon that has brings a lot of dialogue and conversation and relating and partnering in your community, and a very social feel. And it's got some great stuff that comes right along with it in the form of Jupiter and Juno right here, and Ceres over here. So those first, the asteroid goddesses that I mentioned at the top of this horoscope play actually a lovely part in this moon. Juno bringing even more of that social feel, Jupiter adding some festivity, and Ceres bringing probably some great food. So this is a really great moon for throwing a party. Since this falls in your 7th house, you might want to partner with somebody to create an event that can be festive and a really great place for social networking. That's all for today. We love making these horoscope videos for you, Leo. And if you love that we do it, please do hit that like button, because it really matters to us when you tell YouTube how you feel. Please let your friends know about these horoscopes too. Have a gorgeous January. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.